Hello. I am here to show you my presentation on my project for Part B of our Part B project, and for this instructional design class. So here is my project. My topic was the distance learning for 3D modeling and animation for Garland ISD. Now, when all of this crazy COVIDness hit, I was asked if I could write some curriculum and design a course for one of the classes that I teach that the rest of the campuses could use. So I thought, what a perfect way for me to also practice some of my instructional design things that I've learned in this. So this is where we are. So we had, like, tell you a little bit about um, the purpose and such for this class. The purpose was to facilitate 6 weeks of online and distance learning for the 3D modeling and animation classes in the Garland ISD cluster of high schools. And we were supposed to use, or I was required to use, the TEKS to guide our learning and to use our Khan Academy curriculum as well. That was a request from the client. The format that I chose to use was an online technology-based training for those who have the ability to use technology, which would include Google Classroom as the LMS, interactive slides, research papers, and of course khanacademy.org. But I would also be required to create and send home packets with materials that cover the TEKS and supplement the ability to use the technology. This was something that was asked of me about halfway into creating this task. They said, what about those kids who do not have technology? We need to make something for them. And so we added something to this to where it could be a supplement for a take-home printable aspect of things. Now, the topic, of course, is 3D modeling and animation. We wanted to use the TEKS. We went and found TEKS that were probably not taught yet. That was the visual design principles and also the potential careers in 3D modeling and animation. The audience for this course is high school students age 14 to 18, both male and female. And these are students who have already been in 3D modeling and animation for one semester and a couple of weeks of a second. So we're going to do a 6 weeks end of year kind of come back and look at and touch on some of the TEKS that we have not touched throughout the year. Now, my approach for this design was to, of course, cover the TEKS. It had to start with that. And then I really wanted to make it something that was interactive. If this was a work from home or learn from home distance learning scenario, we needed to try to make something that was engaging for the kids to be able to do, and at the same time easy to pass out, or easy to push to the kids themselves. I wanted to give the kids the ability to work asynchronously, meaning that they did not have to be at a classroom. They could have the week to work on the projects whenever they needed time, because as we found out, there was a lot of people who had to share computers with siblings and with parents who were working from home during this crazy time. So I did not want to make it where you had to be at a specific time for a specific amount of time, but give them something that they could work on. I wanted to give students time to request feedback so that they started at the beginning of the week. They could request throughout the week and still get it turned in by the end of it. I wanted all of this to be self-contained on Google Classroom. I wanted to assign work, collect work, and provide feedback all there. And for those without technology, I wanted to provide all the needed material to continue learning on the subject. And it must include all research material and instructional material itself. Here is an example of one of the things. I will bring this up so that I can show you. This is an interactive visual design concept that is part of the TEKS. It is called the rule of thirds. And this is an interactive Google slide. And so you would start on slide 1, interactive Grail, try to put some things here. No guess. They would have places where they could go in to answer their specific questions that they had without Googling, what do you think rule of thirds is? Then you ask which picture looks better, depending on which one you picked. Slide 4 has them watch a video that tells you kind of about what the rule of thirds are. And then next we have them actually use the tools like the line tool here that you can use to make a line and then to draw the actual rule of thirds grid on the actual things here. Then we talked about examples. Is it rule of thirds or is it not? That one is not. And then put it down here at the bottom where it was, why it wasn't. Is this? Yes, it is. You can see it follows the interesting parts are upon the thirds. Try to put some relevant things, including Mr. Dwayne The Rock Johnson bobblehead. Lastly, I had them do an internet photo scavenger hunt that would give them 4 examples of the rule of thirds. Now, this is the same kind of things that we used. I tried to put at the end of most of my interactive slides the questions and comments so that the facilitator or the teacher can come back and look at these at the very end and kind of tailor some of the next week's stuff based on that. There's lots of different principles that we used, one for each of the one for each of the first 5 weeks. The last week was a research paper that they had to do about careers. So we go back to this. Let's go back. All right. So how will it be implemented? Google Classroom will be the hub. Students already use it. It is district-wide, and classes populate automatically through our attendance program. It makes it easy for us to use Google Classroom. We had a timeline. Section 1 is our interactive Google Slides and research paper. And Section 2 is the Khan Academy section that they can have more. The Khan Academy part was requested that we use because they have an online computer animation that allows them to do some 3D modeling using the Pixar people. They actually kind of teach the class in that, and it's really, really entertaining, if not a little difficult to follow at times. But we use that. So here's an example of the schedule where it take 30 to 45 minutes. In the first week, you would do one, and you would get introduced to the Khan Academy and then end up doing it as you moved forward. Now, how will it be evaluated? Each week, they have weekly turn-ins, Google Slides of the design principles in the Khan Academy. At the end of course, there is a research paper on careers. That was the last teak that we wanted to talk about, where they had to do some research about some specific jobs. I did not know there was as many jobs as there possibly was in the 3D modeling world, but there are, and it's amazing. And lastly, they would have a cumulative score of both of those. Implementation, it is happening now. We are currently in week 4 of the 6-week program. I wrote for it and implemented the first 2 weeks. I've been saying about 2 weeks in front of everybody until recently when I finished this project and finished the course for the district. Students have enjoyed it. Statistics have gone up each week for on-time turn-ins, and the feedback has been pretty good from the kids. And the Khan Academy, though, has been a struggle. That's been one of the tough parts because it's a little bit different than what we were working on in class. That's it. That's my project. That's 3D modeling in a 6-week distance learning. I hope everybody out there is safe, everybody is healthy, and everybody is doing the best they can to get through this crazy time. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for grading, and I will see you around. Go Mean Green.